What's up, guys? Luke here from Spotlight on Spurs. Good evening to everyone. We have got a lot to talk about, as there always is with Spurs. Welcoming back, as always, Mr. Christopher Hubble. How are we doing, sir?
Hello, mate. Sorry for last week. It was a bit of a manic Thursday night for me, but traveling up and down. But back on this week. Looking forward to talking about some Spurs, some positives as well over the weekend, and then Champions League. So yeah, some good stuff.
It's not bad being back. The old Champions League anthem, especially when you're in it, it just it hits
I
differently,
know.
doesn't it? We and Drew once again coming on. Thank you very much. How are you doing?
Doing all right, mate. Doing all right. Good to be on with you two gentlemen. So as said before we came on, rocking the home, the way, the home, the away, and the third strip, just as we should, the Spurs boys. So yeah, really good to be here. Looking forward to talking Spurs.
He picked that up in the background, and I was like, "Is he talking about his back wall?" Oh no, it's us. We're all in it. I was like, "Okay,
a front three for anybody's team."
Some would say possibly better than some of our front threes, but let's get into that shortly. The first thing I wanted to start on, I know Drew, I don't think you're on X as much as me for sure, but Spurs and West Ham and their hatred for Mohamed Kudus is something else, guys. I don't know whether anyone's been seeing it, but all over X, I literally just see West Ham comments talking about this man. And for someone who weren't very good, they didn't rate, they were glad they sold. I don't know why they're wasting so much breath. Chris, what are your thoughts on it? Because I know you've got some West Ham pals. We share some West Ham pals, and you was at the game as well. What are your thoughts on the whole hatred? It's very, very strange for me.
I'd understand if he'd obviously. I mean, I know he's gone to a London rival, but I mean, it was weird because every time even in the first like 10 minutes, I think we got a corner, and the amount of abuse he was just getting, like it was. Part of me wished he would have scored and just done his celebration. There was one, I think the ball went out for a corner, and one of the kids who do the ball boys and stuff, they picked the ball up, and he was saying like, "Right, kiss the ball," and the boy just went and sat down with the ball in his hands and made him go and get a ball off one of the cones. And as he took the ball off the cone, he got up and put the ball back down again. And I was like, again, it was just like I was laughing, just thinking like, this is just madness. But listen, I think he's he's obviously he's chosen to come to Spurs because it's a progression. We're playing Champions League football. He's in the stadium and building a squad as well with the new manager. So he's left for these reasons. He's not left from what I know, any bitter ways. He's not parted with in bad terms. So maybe it's just a bit of, I don't know, it's just West Ham fans maybe just trying to give it back to him because he's joined Spurs, and he could have gone anywhere else apart from Spurs maybe, and it wouldn't have been as bad. But yeah, it's mental. But I don't care. He's here. He's doing the business, and he's performing well, and that's what matters for me.
There was quite a lot of them that were telling me that he's useless, Drew. I don't know whether you've seen this, and I'm in a few different streams, and as I say, we've got some close friends that are West Ham fans, and it was constantly saying to us, like, don't get me wrong, there was a few of them that were saying, listen, he's a top player on his day, but it's not consistent enough. But the kind of average fan was kind of going, he's useless. We've absolutely done you over for 50 million. He doesn't contribute. He doesn't score. He doesn't assist. He doesn't do this. And I'm like, what are you still talking about him for then? Just get over it, right? I mean, I know that they're rivals, but it's a bit of a strange one. We have got our final guest in the building, Mr. Brian, sir. How are we doing?
Apologies, and more apologies for being late. I am very, very good. Thank you, Luke. Thanks for having me on. And hello to Drew and Chris.
Brian has done a Tottenham transfer window special. He's left it a little bit late.
Yes.
He just got on there just before the shut off. It's great to see, mate. It's great to see. Thanks again for coming on. Right. Well, we've kind of touched on it a little bit. Spurs return to the Champions League. I know it was a few days ago now. Just looking at some of the games that are being played right now, and there's been a few upsets, but there's been some big scores as well. But obviously, Spurs, Villarreal, it's been a bit of a strange one in the fan base. I think I've seen some people quite heavily criticise the way that we're playing, that it's not free flowing, it's not excellent football. Then you've got the other hand of the amount of clean sheets, the amount of games won. Chris, what were your thoughts on the Villarreal game as on its own, and then we'll go into a little bit more what's happened this season in a little while.
I think we can all agree it probably wasn't the game we all was the most interested in. It wasn't a great game. It wasn't a great performance. But for me, flip it around. I see it as a game where sometimes, I mean, we're not going to win every game. We're not going to perform at the best every game. It's not always going to be how we want it to be, but we still managed to get the points. The crazy thing was, I think I see, and I don't know if it's right or not, you'd have to check it for me, Luke. Apparently, there's only one shot on target in the whole game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that wasn't even the goal. That wasn't even the goal.
And for me, when I see that come up, I think it was in like the 83rd minute or something, right at the end of the game, the stat come up, and I just looked at it and I thought that just sums up this whole game for me. Like, it's one of them games where both teams probably didn't play as well. Everyone had chances, but it didn't light it up. But again, 3 points, it's points on the table. I think the manager and the players come out and they all said, look, it wasn't our greatest performance. We didn't play how we wanted to play, but we got the job done. We got the 3 points. And as I say, if that was every game, then I think Spurs fans should have the right to sort of be like, hang on a minute here, what's going on? But again, Champions League, first game back in it for a while. I think just take the sting out of it, get the 3 points and move on.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's far too early to be jumping to conclusions. Like this is, if we were losing games, then maybe you could be sitting there saying certain things. But we're getting over the line, and there's so many different factors. And again, we'll touch on it a little bit in a minute. But Villarreal, Drew, what was your thoughts on the game? You got anything to add?
Yeah,
Chris has probably analysed it.
It's pretty much, yeah. I think it was all. There's not really much you can add for a game like that, right? I think pretty much summed it up well. You have to, from my point of view, I'm still having to shake my head and go, hang on, this is just the 6th competitive match under this manager with this coaching team. And the fact that we're getting clean sheets and getting over the line, that really is all that matters for me at the moment. Like, the build-up play and the fluid football and the attacking know-how will start to come. That was what? Xavi's 90. How many minutes did he play at the weekend plus this one? I mean, it was probably he's played like a game between the 2 matches. So we just need to. I just think it will come. That coaching staff there look so determined, and I'm just so impressed with Thomas Frank every time I hear him talk. That it's just 3 points and move on.
Yeah, just in case you're not aware, Brian, because I think you're still probably celebrating the whole Daniel Levy thing, but Daniel Levy's gone and Spurs played in the Champions League. I don't know if you've seen it, if you was too busy still smiling over Levy, but what were your thoughts on the game, mate?
Yeah, all I can say is a new chairman bounce is what we're on at the moment. 2 wins, 2 victories, 2 games, 2 clean sheets, and people are going on about the performances. I'm sorry, I can't hear what they're saying over all the winning and clean sheets. We seem to be now running winning wins into big up fans into problems. Look, he's come in. All like Drew said, all Thomas Frank can do is work on stuff on the pitch, and we've come from a time when obviously when Ange Postecoglou came in. All he had to do is get the boys playing entertaining football and free-flowing forward football to get over what we'd see with Conte, with Jose, and bring attacking football back. Well, it's kind of what Thomas Frank has had to do with defence. He's had to shut shop. And I think if anyone has said to us in the first 5 games, 4 of them will be clean sheets, we would have conceded 1 goal. I don't care who our manager was. We would have been, yeah, all right, sure. It was not the biggest spectacle. It wasn't. But at the moment, the most important thing is building confidence, winning games without playing well, and seeing the players rotate so we can keep players fresh, fit, healthy, and hungry. And he's doing it. And I've got no doubt whatsoever that when he gets the opportunity to, and he gets to play his, let's say, strongest 11 that he thinks is his, I think the goals come. It's a quite brilliant start. And yes, like I said, really, really poor game of football. But if you look at the Champions League group, next we've got Bodo. Then we've got Monaco away. Monaco away. And then we've got Copenhagen at home. That could be 12 points out of 12 very, very easily. And this game, to get off to a winning start, was the most important thing. And it's what we did.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we're just so you kind of hit the nail on the head there. We're just so not used to seeing defensive displays, and I think part of us are probably still thinking that we're bound to concede just purely because that's what we do. That's what we've done last year. And even go previous to that. I mean, Pochettino was slightly different, but I've never been quite comfortable with Spurs playing defensive football. It just doesn't fit. It just always feels like something's going to go wrong. So I think we need to kind of adapt to that as a fan base as well, to be honest with you, because I think that's what we do. We literally just waiting for something to happen. Even under Postecoglou, when we was playing out from the back, it's just like we know we're going to make a mistake here. Like we just know it's bound to happen, sort of thing. So it is a weird one though, because when you think about the amount of praise that's gone Arsenal's way, specifically in terms of what they've done in Premier League, obviously to the start of the season, they're so solid. And the records are actually really, really similar in terms of how many goals we've scored, how many clean sheets we've got, etc. Is it a case of just kind of feeling your way into the season? The attacking players, as I said, when you look at it, you've got Moani, who doesn't look anywhere near fit. There was a lot of people calling he should be starting the other week, and he came on for 20 minutes and he looked like he was absolutely knackered. So you've got him. You've got players coming back to fitness. Solanke, I believe, trained this week, so he's coming back in. Obviously, Kudus is still getting used to it. He's a new signing. Simmons, we've already mentioned. So do you think that it's literally just a case of getting a bit more used to it and starting? I think Frank even said it in his interview. They've literally just decided they're going to start with the defence, make that solid, and hoping that everything else pushes forward. Is that your thinking, Drew?
I think so as well. And I think if you had that real nice sort of base of Polinia and Bentancur as well, who, I've kind of, I wouldn't say a harshest critic, but I've been slightly critical of Bentancur, but he seems to be getting back to the player that I've been told that he can be. So if you add, that resolute back five along with those two, I think that's almost 2/3, right? I mean, and logically, Xavi's going to be your 10. So really, it's just, I know it's sort of easier said than done, but it's almost about your 10, your wingers and your front man clicking. Because I think, not only, and Brian said it great, and big up Brian, by the way, because I think it's the first time we've actually been on screen together. So nice one. He mentioned it, like the 3 clean sheets or the 4 clean sheets. We've been pretty good for them as well. It's not like they've been really lucky clean sheets, like especially, like I said, one shot on target. I mean, they had some shots, but there were people just getting bodies in the way. I think Vicario, tipped one around the post that he didn't quite need to. So I think, it's about, and obviously with the left wing situation, that wasn't ideal. I mean, in hindsight, I think you'd have probably gone all out for maybe a Semenyo before he signed his deal, if you could have done. I mean, I know Bournemouth were sort of about that time sort of shutting up shop and saying, all right, we're done with this. We've had our defence decimated. We're not going to do the attack as well. But I just think something like that is almost another level again, because Kudus on the other side, as good as he's been, we're starting to get to a point where it's almost, even in the first few games, you realise how reliant you kind of already are on his ability to hold up the play. And I think if you sort of man mark him or you double up on him, being as we're a little bit disjointed up front at the moment, it all kind of starts to fall apart. But I mean, it will come. But it's about finding that balance and about not being so one-dimensional as soon as it gets past the halfway line. But yeah, as I say, I think we're all in agreement. Like, we're all pretty patient, level-headed guys, I think, and it's just about getting minutes on the pitch together.
Yeah, 100%. I knew that there was only one shot on target in the game, but I completely forgot until you just mentioned it. So there was 19 shots in the game in total. There was one that was on target, and that was Sarr for Spurs. So Vicario I think he did tip one, but it wasn't on target, that one.
Yeah.
So in terms of XG, we slightly shaded it on 0.58 and they was 0.53. Whereas in every other game last year, it was probably 25.3 XG on our goal, because that was just how things tallied up. So I completely agree. I do hope in terms of, and you mentioned it a little bit there, and I'll come to you, Chris, in terms of Simmons. Drew mentioned that he thinks that he'll become the central player. Is that something you agree with? Do you think he's going to play off the left? I think personally that he will come central, and I think there is a reason that he's starting on the left, and I'll touch on that after. But what do you think? Why do you think he's put out there? Do you think that's his long-term future at Spurs on the left side?
I think when I see that we signed him, in my head he was coming in to be the central attacking midfielder to sort of fill in for Maddison being injured. And I was hoping that Bergvall would get the chance in there as well. And I mean, since he's been playing there, he looks pretty good. So I think it's giving Thomas Frank a bit of a headache, where he's like, I want to play Simmons because he's got the talent there. But then if Bergvall keeps performing, I think in the midfield too, with either Bentancur, Sarr, Palhinha being swapped around, even Bentancur sitting, not Bentancur, sorry, Bergvall sitting in there as well and giving Simmons the ability to play in that. It's really good. The only couple of things I've sort of picked up on really was the last few games I've noticed we're crossing the ball a lot more into position. When I'm, again, at the weekend when I was at the game, there was a couple of times where Pedro Porro got the ball and rather just hit it on the edge of the box, he was crossing it in, and you've got Simmons at the back post, and I was like, that shouldn't be. I don't understand why that was a thing. But then I think Simmons only got taken off as well during the week because he was on a yellow card and he had a few tackles, and it was like, hang on a minute, let's get him off here because we don't want him suspended. But I think he's more suited to be in that central role. Again, it would just be hard on Bergvall if he sort of gets either pushed back or dropped because of that situation. I think he will come in as a centre cam.
Yeah, Brian, what do you think on Xavi? Do you see him playing as the 10 eventually?
I hope so. I hope so. What I will say, when we're talking about this left wing issue, and I literally think Spurs have done the way I'm seeing this. I don't know if you or Drew or Chris agree. We've spoken so much under the Levy tenure about wasting money on the wrong player or getting the cheaper option. Or let's use Baptiste Tell, for example. We were like, why have we spent 30, 40, whatever it may be on Tell? Forget the contract. Why have we done that? That's more money that could have gone elsewhere. I literally think Thomas Frank has his number one option. Whether that be Savinho, whether that be Leao, whether that be Lookman. And he was like, do you know what? I've got Simmons in. There's Tell, there's Johnson, there's Odegaard, Mawani potentially. I'd rather wait for the right player than go and waste money on just another option. I'm not saying that any of the ones apart from Simmons are good enough to do it, but you'd think Frank would say, "Do you know what? There's 5 left wingers I can potentially play. I think that can get me through to January." Kind of like what Liverpool did with Van Dijk when they could have got him the summer before, and they're like, "Nope, that's the guy I want." January. So I think that's what's happening. And I think right now, Simmons on the left, I don't think he's played too bad at all. He's got an assist. He's getting used to the Premier League. He's got to get firing. Obviously, he's got a few more games before the next international break. Yeah, I did. I mean, ideally, I'd love to see Odegaard left and see what he can do, and then put Simmons in the centre. But then it's, what game do you do it on? Do you risk it in the Premier League? Do you risk it in the Champions League? I wouldn't be surprised if you see it at Doncaster, where you can say, right, I can move him into the centre and give him more minutes and see who can play on that left. At the moment, he's our best left winger, but he's not our number one left winger, if you know what I mean. I think he is brought to play in the centre, He's very, do you know what? In all honesty, he is very, very lucky he didn't get sent off in the second game. So I think he plays there again on Saturday, and he's had more time on the training pitch, hasn't he? So I'm delighted we've got him, and he can play for Spurs. And if it needs to be on the left wing to start off with, then so be it.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I do think that he's going to be a top player. I was going to touch on this a bit later on, but there were some quotes that came out from the Daily Mail from his agent talking about the move that fell through at Chelsea. And apparently he said there was genuine interest from both sides. Chelsea had certain constraints at that moment, which made it difficult for them to move forward. We totally respected that. And they were really clear with us from the beginning where they were basically where they were at with it. Discussions took place with Tottenham. Their connection and clarity stood out, and it quickly became clear that their project was a great fit for Xavi's development. This is the part that I found quite interesting. A talk with Xavi with Thomas Frank was really key because he hit on a lot of good points. Xavi has always heard, "Oh, you're amazing." He's heard that before, but Thomas really hit home on the points he had to work on. It was total honesty. Xavi has a monster mentality. He's been a wonder kid since 14 years old. He's not afraid of challenges. He really took those words from Frank in a positive way. And that is what Thomas Frank has been talking about. He wants them sort of characters. He wants them sort of people. He challenges them, but he wants also people that want to be here. And obviously that sounds that, listen, he's not going to turn around and say Chelsea's was my number one and I wanted to go to them, but Spurs ended up coming in and I went there. But you can imagine, and he's come out and said it as well, that is this kid for the people that don't know, this kid has been a wonder kid since 12. Like he's been part of the Barca Academy. He had a big fluffy hair when he was really, really small. It was almost the hair was bigger than him, and that was kind of his thing. He was come up through Barcelona. He's come through their youth system, which is obviously unbelievable. So this is a player that's always essentially been destined for the very, very top. That has always been the expectation. And if no one's watched it, it's still relevant now. I released a video where I went and spoke with an RB Leipzig fan, and I was speaking to him about what kind of drawbacks, what the issues are with him. And mentality was a big one, and not in a negative way. He was saying that his mentality is that everyone should be at top level. He should be at top level. We shouldn't be losing games. So he was like, like sulking. He can seem like he's got a bit of an attitude, but it's not from a crybaby sort of situation. It's because he just wants to win all of the time. Sort of player that wants to win in training, wants to win friendlies. And that is a mentality that you need to get in, especially under Frank. You can imagine that being something that he definitely looks for. What I did want to touch on, though, and we've kind of mentioned it there, but do we think that Sarr and Bergvall's form has pushed Frank to have to include him and therefore push Xavi left? Or did you think that he was always going to play left until he kind of just got up to speed with things? Because I actually think, although everyone has to defend in a Frank system, I think centrally Frank's going to demand a certain amount of running, a certain amount of covering, tracking back, whereas Xavi Simons, with Spence on his side as well, on the left-hand side, maybe is afforded just that little bit more to kind of just build himself up. So do you think that them two, Sarr, Bergvall, their form means that they absolutely have to play, Drew?
I think Frank's done a really good job of kind of balancing it out at the moment, because I think you've also got to be aware that we're dealing with a team that had chronic injury problems last year. So I don't know how much has been done in the background just to make sure that everybody's not, doing the infamous redlining like the coaches refer to. So I think the minutes that have been spread across have just been necessary in terms of getting the minutes in people's legs. Like Polinia has had very little football, last year. So he came to us very, as far as sort of match fitness terms, probably lower than most of the other guys. I mean, even Bentancur, he finished last season pretty good, but he's had not much football in the last couple of years. So I think it's about trying to sort of manage everybody's minutes and try and get everybody up to speed. And I think the really nice thing about I think how we're building this midfield is that you've got a really nice, I think, overlap between people's capabilities within, like, I don't like to use numbers necessarily, but just to give people, like, we've got a really nice, strong defensive midfielder or 6 in Polinia. So if you've got a game where you only need one person sitting, it's him. And you almost then can build the back 3 and have the wing backs or the, your left back and your right back almost being auxiliary attackers. You then also got a nice one if you need Bentancur to sit in there as well and do a double pivot. We've got that covered. But Bentancur can also progress. Well, then Bergvall, I think he's going to become like a really good 8. And I think he's going to be box to box. And I think he's the way he can progress the play. And then you've got Sarr, who I think can also do that. You've also got him when he plays a 10, he's a very good pressing and aggressive 10. But as far as creativity, I'm not sure it's there. But you can play him in the 8 and then have Xavi in the 10. But then you can have Xavi out on the left. When Moani's fit, you can have Moani on the left and Xavi in the middle, and then you've got Richarlison up front. Well, then if you wanted to, you could have Moani up front. You could have Richarlison left wing. There are so many. If you wanted to, Kudus could. I mean, I prefer Kudus on the right, but that means you kind of restrict him in terms of being able to come in on his right foot and unleash shots. So there may be instances where if you've got a really weak left back that would not be able to handle Kudus, you put him over on the left and have him coming in on his right foot. So there are so many permutations on how you can get this to work. Like in my head, it just seems like kid in a candy store. Like I know we were talking about Frank early on in pre-season about how, he's leveling up. He's coming to Tottenham and he's seeing all these players, and now he's being refreshed with, wow, what can I do with this? Because, with all due respect to Brentford, other than a couple of players, he's not really had maybe the level of players that he's got to his disposal now. So to get back to the initial question, yes, their player's been good, but I think it's been more about Frank actually kind of having a look at what he's got to work with within the confines of having to play competitive games, because we're already 2-3 games a week and had an international break. So I
100%.
think it's, a little bit of everything.
And let's not forget as well how versatile Frank is. And listen, it's not just all about formations and how set up. There will be different tactics in different games. So Sarr, I completely agree. If you're playing against a low block, Sarr as a 10 is probably not the guy that you want. However, if you're playing against PSGs, if you're playing against Real Madrid's, Sarr as a 10, the ability to be able to cover ground, nick the ball, press, it then comes into it where that could be an option there. And obviously, as I said, Frank loves that. Frank loves being able to swap players around, move players in game. We've gone to 5 at the back quite regularly to kind of see games out. So I think that is a big part of it. Chris, what are your thoughts on the whole Sarr Bergvall? They seem to be, Bergvall's one man of the match twice on the trot now, I think. So do you think Xavi, do you agree that Xavi is probably going to be the 10, but he's pushed out there for the moment? Do you think that it's just the other wingers need to kind of catch up fitness wise? Because I think they probably all need a little bit more from the wingers. For instance, Tell looked like he was not 100% when he started the other week. Richarlison they seem to still be putting him for a program where they're easing him in. Odobert, for some reason, seemed to play a few games. Brennan Johnson's been there. What are your thoughts on the Sarr Bergvall? Do you think it's impacted Simmons at all?
I think it comes down to, and it's just my opinion, but I know at the start when we were talking through the transfer window, everyone was saying about having squad depth, and maybe we've got players that aren't fully ready. I think players, it's proven that the mentality of the players is prove to me that you can play and I will play you. And everyone's going out there now and going, I want to play every week. I need to play for my spot. And I mean, it's such a nice conversation to have. We're not sitting there going, who else are we going to put in there because they're not doing their job. It's a case of we've got, as you say, you've probably got Polinia and Bentancur who can do a similar role, and we'll probably cover one of them. There'll always be one of them on the pitch at one point. And then you'll have Bergvall or Sarr as the other one in that potential centre mid next to them. And I think it comes down to the fact that we've got the rotation and everyone seems to just be up in their game more, and maybe just having that is a good thing. I mean, Bergvall's been quality. There's no doubt about it. You'd like to think it's gonna carry on. I hope he doesn't get burnt out with the amount of games that we are playing. But it is nice to actually talk about Spurs having some sort of squad depth and being able to rotate players because we've got busy schedules coming up. If it does mean that Xavi Simons is out on the left, again, I don't think it's bad. It's good that he's out there. He's bringing something more. But when you look at this, we've still got players there. Hopefully, this comes around and everyone's now in the same boat going, we need to play here, because if Simmons is playing left and he's doing well, it means that Tell and Odegaard they're gonna want to be knocking the doors when they get their chance. They need to step up. And again, it's the same for the midfielders, the defenders. I mean, Jed Spence and Udogie is probably one of the most contested positions at the minute because they're both playing so well. It's hard to, but again, as a Spurs fan, it's nice to be having these conversations about having squad depth. It's something we don't normally talk about too often.
I love the way last year we was kind of like picking a team and then going, oh, well, he might have to go there because he's not done really good, and he might have to go there. And now we're going, well, he's playing well, so do we drop him for him? So a bit of a different conversation. Big up to the chat.
Brian touched on it. Brian quickly touched on it earlier on as well about not getting the number. You know, Frank didn't get his number one target on the left, so we've made a loan deal for Mawani. And on top of that, we've got 3 or 4 players that if we need to, we can rotate in that position at least up until January and then see where we're at. You know, I mean, depending on how well Savinho and Man City do, I mean, he could still potentially be itching for a move at that point to try and get in the Brazil squad. So, you know, there's definitely interesting future on that side of the pitch for sure.
It's a bit of optimism. Just going on to this comment, what's up? Big up to the chat, as I always say.
Spurs 5 raid.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure on this one. I must admit, I think we're being a little bit harsh. I think we touched on it. I don't think you was in the chat just now when we first went live, but this is a brand new regime in a brand new system, and with unfit players that didn't play much last year. I don't think it's fair to just say that Frank's just saying, just go safe all the time. I think we need to be a little bit more patient. I know we've got one of his biggest, it's almost a perfect comment to go to when we've got Frank's biggest fan, who's someone who's wanted him for about probably since Frank was a boy. Because it's been a while, hasn't it, Brian?
Mate, it's been since beforehand. It's also as well the comment before that he mentioned as well, where it says same old bullshit, same bullshit. We're not focusing on winning, rather focusing on showcasing. Nothing's changed under ENIC, same bullshit. Well, first of all, we've won both games since he's gone without conceding, so that's continued to win. And this is me saying it, which pretty much, if everyone was to say, name me 2 or 3 YouTubers that were heavily known for promoting and being staunch Levy out, my name comes into that equation 99 times out of 100, if not 100 out of 100. And when people are now saying nothing's changed under ENIC, the only thing they can do to prove people is in the transfer window. There is absolutely nothing they can do right now. It has been 2 weeks today that this happened. 2 weeks today, the joyous news came where the man left the football club. What could ENIC change in 2 weeks? And it's not the same ENIC. There's no Donna Cullen. There's no Daniel Levy micromanaging everything. The whole board have had a reshuffle. Vivian and Charlie look like they want to be more involved. The manager's been able to bring in 8 coaches, and we haven't been able to bring in 3 before that the manager wants. So it's harsh. And to say Frank's reign is an oxymoron, great managers like George Graham used to say, you build a defence and you don't concede, you don't lose. This guy has been here 2 months. 2 months. And we have conceded 1 goal, sitting in the top 4 of the league. All right, it's only 6 games. And the biggest thing we need to do is get behind him and support. What we're doing right now, is the football brilliant? Is it been free-flowing champagne football? No, it hasn't. But it doesn't need to be at the moment. Winning when you're not playing well is a sign of a good team.
Yeah.
Being able to rotate your team and keep players fresh and hungry and fit and not get picking up these needless injuries is a massive part of coaching. It's a massive part of coaching. We went for a team where our midfield was wide open. It was like we didn't have a midfield last season. Right here, right now, we got about 5 midfielders that we're saying, how can you drop him? How can you drop him? Where do you put him? Where do you fit him? And we go on about the number 10 position right now because it's all spoken in football. Are you number 10? He plays 2 number 8s. He plays 3. Doesn't mean it has to be 6, 8, 10. He's playing with 2 8s, and I've even Sarr and Bergvall bomb forward. I think we would all love to see Xavi Simons in the 10. I think that is where we would all love to see him and think that's where he fits. But playing this game, if you play Paulinho and Bentancur and Simons, which I think is the best midfield 3, if they're, let's just say it was the North London derby tomorrow, that's the 3 I want. But maybe without Sarr and Bergvall, you lose some of the engine. You lose some of the solidity. Yes, you got Paulinho doing what he does. We have to see what he does. Simons, I would love to see it at 10. But with Thomas Frank winning, clean sheet, I mean, how we can say it's an oxymoron that he's playing it safe. If we consistently win 4 games out of 5 by playing conservative football, sign me up. Sign me up. I will take those kind of performances and wins. I want trophies. You're not going to get them or compete without a solid backline, which we've got right now. And then the rest will come. I mean,
he set the foundation, doesn't he? He set the foundation.
You look at it, when he came in, before he came in, we were saying we can't defend. We're shit. We got no defensive structure. We don't know how the inverted wing backs. Well, we've conceded 1 goal in 5 games. We can't defend or score from set pieces. Okay. Yeah. I've never felt more comfortable when opposing teams have had free kicks or corners, and then when it comes to us having dead balls, I'm like, do you know what? We could actually score on it. We actually could be a real threat. Everything that we weren't doing last season that everyone wanted us to be doing, he's done it in 6 games. Can he do it consistently? Is now the thing that he's got to do, and that comes with rotation. But to slam Frank for winning 80% of his games, but competitive games, and then to go on about nothing has changed under Enoch. It's been 2 weeks and the window is closed.
I think, to be fair, I think we also see changes in this transfer market. And there might have been reasons behind it, and January might go back to the old ways and whatever. But I think we see a difference in the players that we're signing, the ages of them, the experience of them. So I don't necessarily agree. Big up, Luke. Loving the home, away, and third shirts that have been worn here. Did you plan this? We absolutely did not. And before,
that's so out of place. There's me.
I know.
It's blue and white though. It's blue and white.
Listen,
oh my God.
It was all. It's going to have some sort of link to Spurs, of course it was. But yeah, we didn't plan it. We had no idea, and Drew picked it up just before we went live. He was like, "We're literally wearing every single shirt," and goes to show you the shirts are actually pretty decent this year. I mean, even the home kit, there's actually a bit of change to it. It's not the same kit that we've had for the last 5-6 years. Then they've just moved a little bit of blue somewhere else. So,
Brian, it's a shame you didn't have the goalkeeper top. That would have made the full.
Mate, I think this was my forfeit for coming late. They're like, let's make him look like an idiot.
Do you know that I really wanted the orange keeper top because I've got a thing about safety orange. You have to wear some of it at work, and you can't get goalkeeper top. Like you can't get it in the shop anymore. It even says on the website we won't be selling it, and the only one they've got is the yellow one from last year. Shocking.
I actually did like the blue kit that he wore yesterday, this week, Macario. That light blue goalkeeper shirt, I actually think was.
I'm almost thinking about taking to X. I know you mentioned earlier that I don't go on X, and I don't because it feels like a petri dish of filth. But I was thinking about going on there and taking a picture and like copying in like Spurs official Vicario, getting him on board, getting the goalkeepers union on board, and being like, "Come on, lads, you got to make this available. You got to make it available."
And
where's the next generation? And what are the next generation of goalkeeping kids? Who have they got to look up to? Like, I remember there was always one or two kids at school that always had the oversized goalkeeper kit with the pads built into the elbows. Yeah. They were the ones that were always prepared to throw themselves, even if it was on the concrete or the gravel. Where are those? What are those kids supposed to do now?
There was uproar as well when England ladies got to the final because they refused to release the goalkeeper kit for, I think it was I can't remember if it was the World Cup or the Euros. They refused to, and there was such uproar that they actually did end up releasing it. So I completely agree. Some of the goalkeeper kits are actually brilliant over the years. Them elbow pads were brilliant, by the way. Brad, completely forgot about this, but this is also part of it as well in terms of Frank Ball, shall we call it. 4 clean sheets already, and last season we had 6. I don't know whether they're the exact numbers, but it's definitely around about that, isn't it?
It's the exact number. It's 6 is the exact number in the Premier League. So it's been 3 in the Premier League, 4 in total. But I checked when I did Late Night Lillywhite on Thursday. Our 3rd clean sheet last season was Manchester City away, the 4-0 in November. So it took till November to get to our 3rd clean sheet. He's done it in September.
That Darren's just read the room with the whole shirts because it's gone total 90 Brazil. We're not playing like Prime Brazil after 6 games. I'm out. Crazy. We're shipping goals for fun last season. Look at Forest last night. It's true. As I say, with Frank coming in, there were certain things where I wasn't sure of. I don't know whether he's going to step up to the level, similar to when you bring players in, etc., etc. But what we had there was a decent defense, albeit we conceded loads last year. We know why we done that, but he has steadied that ship 100%, and that's the only thing you can do. You're not going to go and sign Kudos, Simmons, get all of the forward players that seem to be coming back to fitness, as we've already discussed, and have them just off the cuff playing and scoring goals. And even if that did happen, there would always be that dip as well, because like we had it with Ange, didn't we? First 10 games, it absolutely went. And then all of a sudden there was a bit of a dip. At least we know now, if we do seem to get a dip, that we've got a good enough defense that if the forwards aren't scoring goals, we're able to hold into games. We can nick one of a set piece. If we're not playing well, we know that we can rely on that defense. It's just about keeping it fit.
Luke, can I just add just one very quick thing with when you mentioned Frank? I forgot to mention we're having that Simmons discussion about the agent and everything. Another great thing for Frank is, I think one of the pushbacks on appointing him was like, well, he's never managed a big club. Can he attract big players? Can he get them to come? Will he be able to deal with egos? Will he? Well, Xavi Simmons, as you said, was very, very complimentary of him. Mohamed Kudus did. You can see Frank's enthusiasm. Look at the images with him and Romero walking down the tunnel. He is a fantastic man manager, and he's been very deserving of a position at a club at our sort of level. And I said it when we signed him. I said it before we signed him. He literally, I keep saying, for him and the coaching staff, Tottenham Hotspur are very, very lucky to have him. And people will see in a year, 2 years, 3 years, just how lucky we are to have him in his coaching staff.
Yeah, I agree. He's not slowly winning me round. I just had some doubts over whether he could step up, but that wasn't just aimed at him. It was also aimed at whether the club would back him enough for him to be able to step up. And I think they've done some of that. We just need a little bit more. Massive thank you to Kat Funt. I've got to make sure I do it the same way that Sava does. Let's make sure that we pronounce this absolutely correctly. Big up, lads. Good to see you all. Thank you very, very much. Massively appreciated. Just a couple of comments that I've starred, and we're going to kind of run over now. Savinho, left-footed, scored actually loads of goals from the right. He only scored 1 on the left last season. He's a right foot. I accept it. He's best when you cut in on his strong foot. Absolutely not. Unfortunately, I don't believe that's true. Harmless potato. I'm very, very sorry, mate, but he's actually far better as a left winger. When he came over to City, they started playing him on the right-hand side. But if you go on Transfer Market and look where he's played very similar games at right midfield, and he's also played very similar games at left midfield. It's I think it's nearly 60. His output as a right winger is 4 goals, 8 assists. On the left-hand side, it's 11 goals, 14 assists. It's astronomical numbers compared to on the right hand side. So part of that, I agree, is probably part of City's system. They are not designed for wingers to score goals. They're designed to hold width and Haaland to score all of the goals. But his output in terms of numbers and everything else is far, far better on the left hand side when he was playing for Girona, I think it was. Adrian's coming with a question for the panel. Only 54,000 as a crowd against Villarreal this week. Sorry, nearly 10,000. Yeah, 8,500 short of full capacity. Personally, I think it's the way that they structured the costs. I think the amount of money that it cost to go to that game was astronomical. I think some tickets online was still £90, I believe, to go to the game. Which is, if you're talking about taking kids and et cetera, then just such a high cost. What do you think the reasons were for the such a small attendance? I guess, Drew.
I'm probably the same, mate. I mean, obviously living in the States, I mean, I don't have probably a true reflection because I drive past a stadium complex with Kansas City Chiefs, and ticket prices have gone from $35 10 years ago to $350 now because they're Super Bowl champions, and people still eat it up. And then you've got to pay. This is like, the last time I went with a friend, it was $540 for the pair of us, and that didn't even include parking, which was another $75 when I got there. So I just can't sort of comprehend prices. I mean, the one thing I will say, obviously, you say the tiered system and the pricing. I know how expensive stuff is over there because I've got friends that tell me how expensive it is, and it's only getting worse. And, there's obviously a cost of living issue, which is the same as over here in the States. So, like, I can understand it. Like, I thought probably, I can't even remember how many years ago now, but this whole situation with the new TV rights and how much money was going to be made from them, and how, well, at that point, then ticket prices were going to be, more reasonable. And it's just, the prices have just gone up every year since then, and they seem to have sort of forgotten that conversation. So I don't know, man. I've also, as well, I'm sure probably on a Tuesday night with the kids and everything like that, like there's a certain demographic of people that will be able to go on a Saturday that might not necessarily be able to go on a Tuesday, right? I'm assuming because of, kids getting home after school the next day and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm sure there would probably be a way where if they really wanted to, they could drop the price a little bit and fill that thing up. No problem. Because I'm sure they'd rather have somebody paying $30 than nobody paying $50. So it seems illogical to me, but then I'm not business savvy apparently, and I never will be. I just, greater powers than me will tell you why it's got to be that way.
I do think the numbers are slightly skewed in terms of, I think Ali Gold said it was something like 3,000 away fans. That was the tickets that they were given, and they had 200 turn up. So 2,500 of if Adrian's numbers, which I'm sure they're correct, if that's correct, then 2,500 of them would have actually been away fans. So that means there's only 6,000 of
and I guess apparently, like, Spanish fans apparently don't travel necessarily well either. Like I can't remember who I was listening to, but usually when it comes to, unless it's a really, really big game, my understanding for the most part is that Real Madrid and even, Villarreal, Atletico Madrid, like the away fans, like the Atletico Madrids at Liverpool last night, they were Atletico fans that probably for the most part live in and around England. It's not very often apparently that you get people that will come over from Madrid unless it's a real, real big game. So that might be a bad example because you might have had people, but for the likes of Villarreal, you don't get people from Villarreal coming over to this match. It's supporters of Villarreal that live in London that came to the match, is how I understand it. And so, yeah, like you say, that could be another reason that the numbers are a little skewed as well.
Yeah, Chris,
and,
what do you?
And the 6K ex South Korean fans that Sonny doesn't bring anymore, says Kev G in the chat. Big up,
big up, Kev. Question: we'll aim this to everyone. Everyone's got to go around and answer. Is Brian Daigle in fact the sexiest man on YouTube? And if the answer's no, what time is your appointment with the head doctor?
I'm saying no. I've got to go see my own head doctor.
Big up. Thank you very much. No worries. 5 gifted subs in the chat, guys. Thank you all for incredible support. I always say it every single stream. I know I keep saying it, but honestly, in 6 or 7 months, and to get to the numbers that we get to, the amount of people in here, massive shout out to the Spurs 5 who obviously came in with the huge raid as well. But thank you all so much. Adrian saying £70 for his ticket, only 30 for Doncaster on Wednesday, which I think is quite a fair. But I definitely think with kids and things like that, if you're taking a couple of kids or even just one child, you're taking them out for something to eat before the game, getting them home late, school and things like that, I can definitely see why that would be an issue, and there would be a reduced set of numbers.
Luke, how many home games is it now? Because I remember when we used to go Champions League, they used to do like the packages. It was like £80 for 3 home games. I'm sure it was
75 quid. It was 75 quid. That was at Wembley. They done an offer because we weren't at home. They done an offer where you got every home league game of the qualifying stage. You got
because we always
played Real Madrid and Barcelona.
Yeah, and Barcelona. Yeah, that was it. We went to them because it was a no-brainer because it was again you're packing out the stadium. It's just crazy the way that is. I'm hoping that if that's the case and people are getting priced out of tickets, hopefully the attendances will reflect that and they'll start to change that.
Yeah, definitely. So guys, obviously Brighton up next the weekend. Been a lot of conversations. Obviously there was some changes in terms of the team. Polinia obviously came out of the team, which I think some people found was a bit of a surprise. We did mention earlier that there's potential injuries and constantly rotation. He missed a lot of football last year because of injuries and a potential rotation. What sort of lineup do we expect to see against Brighton? Are we going very similar? Obviously, we've got a little bit of a gap between now and our last game and this game, and then obviously Doncaster, I would imagine we're all probably expecting to see a few changes for that. What sort of starting 11 are you looking at for the Brighton game, Drew? Do you think it'll be similar?
I would think so. I don't want him to fiddle with it too much. That just because we're onto a pretty good thing. Polinia only got 20, 30 minutes maybe, so I could see him potentially getting another start. Being as it's away from home, Brighton, they've not had the greatest start to the season, but they're no mugs, right? So I think we definitely need to be solid. They've kind of had our number a bit. I know the 4-1 last season was horrific at the end of the year, even though we were still on a high from the trophy. But it was the 3-2 as well, wasn't it? When we were 2-0 up and they came back. So we still had that one haunting us a little bit. I can see it being a fairly tough match, but I'm fairly calm. I'm more convinced that we'll take something than not. No, I do not. So I don't know. I'm quietly confident because, as I say, they've not had the greatest start. They're still not quite firing on all cylinders, and I never back us to lose a game ever. I just think we'll have too much. We'll get at least a draw out of it. But yeah, as far as I think the back line's going to be the same. I can't really see much of a change. Although I was asking the question on another stream the other day, and I don't know if you guys think anything of it. I think Danzo needs a few more minutes, and I'm wondering, Doncaster in the cup. I'm just wondering whether he deserves a league game and whether Van de Ven should maybe have a rest. So that could maybe be a change that I would see, and possibly if Udogie's fit, I could see him, fitter, match fitness wise. I could see him maybe getting the start over Spence. I could see probably Moani starting this time round, maybe. Because we've been a bit flat up front. Richarlison, bless him, he's still not been. The first game was great, but he's not exactly been great since then. So I don't know. I don't know. It'd be exciting. Be exciting to see.
Whenever you mention Richarlison's name, this man pops up. This man pops up every time Richarlison's mentioned.
Well, he's got the Richarlison. He's got the shirt.
It's his biggest fan. I would never, James. I would never ever drop you, mate. You're undroppable. You're like Richarlison to me. You are undroppable, my friend. I would never, ever do that.
No, he's gonna love that. Flower's gonna love
that. Chris, what do we think? Do you think that there'll be some changes, as I say, Doncaster coming up as well, and just kind of keep things fresh? I completely agree in terms of Danso. I think Danso is, if we get an injury, we need to make sure that he's primed and ready to be able to be played. And I've also been saying as well, probably for a few weeks now, that I have a feeling that the fullbacks will get rotated and there will be subs for the fullbacks every single game, because them not being able to play, maybe against Doncaster, but as I'm talking a Premier League, Champions League, week in, week out, Archie Gray is the only real player, or Ben Davies, and none of them really fit that sort of system. So, Chris, what do you think? What can you see the team being? Similar to Villarreal?
I think it'll just be a rotation. I think the ones, mainly the midfield ones that started, maybe just don't start against Brighton the weekend. I think I see that Solanke's back in individual training, so he's obviously not ready yet. So maybe I don't know if he'll start Tell. But I think Koulibaly needs more minutes. I think so. Even if he does start Tell and it's not going in his favour, he can maybe get him on for 25-30 minutes as well, get him all game time. But I think the subs have been really good. I think the games that we've played, I actually quite agree with the subs that he's made, and he's done them for the right reasons as well. We've been winning a lot of the games, to be fair. And I mean, West Ham, he had the opportunity of 3-0 up to go, I'll get some players off to give them a rest. So yeah, I think with another week coming up of 2 games as well, I think he just needs to keep rotating, not too much, because you sort of want to keep your main sort of spine of the team. But with games like Doncaster and that coming up, no disrespect, but it'll be good to get some players in there and get some minutes in their legs, definitely.
Yeah, Brian, what do you think? You in agreement? Just a couple of changes, possibly.
I think there will be. I mean, if we go back to the West Ham game, we were in a position there where players like Mawani and Bentancur didn't even get on the pitch. One of the great things that we've done now and been able to do is we've all said that our bench looks really, really weak in previous seasons. Previous managers going back, even Jose, Poch, even when the first 11 were brilliant, and then there was a drop off in quality. Well, you've got that. And being able to bring a Paulinho on to steady the ship, a Kevin Danso, it's a wonderful place to be in. The changes I really want to see, I want to see Destiny get some minutes at left back. I think the fullbacks we've only got the 3 of them that are out and out left backs, or what, 2 left backs, 1 right back, that are out and out specialists in those positions. And I think we've got to be careful that we don't keep overplaying them. And I think especially if Simmons is on the left, I think Spence obviously cutting in on his right and whatever, having Destiny able to come in and take it on the left, that partnership may work better. I would like to see Mawani start up top. I really would, because whether Richarlison, people were saying he's been having poor games recently since Man City and Burnley. Well, we're just playing him non-stop. Apart from Tell against West Ham, this is a guy that can't stay fit. Solanke's back in training, but that could still be a little bit away. So the squad rotation needs to be there. But Brighton are no mugs, especially at home. I mean, we all remember what happened last season. We're big up, Scott, buddy. I hope you're good and well. We all remember what happened last season. 2-0 up, lost 3-2, and got told he didn't want to make subs because we didn't deserve to win, and they wouldn't have made it. And we can't do that. Brighton, what I am looking forward to seeing is a lot of people going into this. I actually think this is a bigger test than Man City away, because Man City away, we normally get the job done for whatever reason it is. But going and playing Brighton, this is where you'll see that Frank will learn from his mistakes against Bournemouth. Could he even possibly go to a back 3? Because of what happened and getting torn apart, with Semenyo on the right. Could he go back three? Then if he goes back three, that changes everything. And this is the other great thing. We just don't even know what formation he's going to play. I don't think Frank knows what his best formation to play is for certain games. And also, it keeps the opposition going. This is a big, big test. Big, big test. And I expect Frank to get it right.
Yeah. In terms of, I completely agree. I think that you don't know at all what's going to happen game after game. You just when you factor in all these different parts to it, different facets to it, you've got Doncaster next. So could you go really full strength and then completely change it there? We just don't know. But then you've also got the other part of that is that he needs to he can't be going out to a Doncaster, can he? Like in terms of some of the criticism that he's got, I think unfairly from the fan base, if he goes to Doncaster and struggles, then it's then another thing to kind of lynch him with. So how far do you go? We've got a couple of questions in the chat, and then we're kind of gonna wrap up. We are going to redirect you. I'm going on to another stream just after this as well, so we'll go over to them. Question for the panel: seeing all the jerseys on screen for the current season, are they legit jerseys from the site's OK Jersey? They seem to be popular at the moment. What's the quality like? So my one, I believe actually all of them are genuine. I think we said, yeah. So, but from what I've heard about OK jerseys, I've heard that they're very good. They are not a sponsor of the channel, so I'm not going to tell you how great they are. But no, I've heard they're good. You just need to get the size up. So if you're a medium, get a large. If you're a large, get an XL, that sort of thing. But from what I've heard, they seem to be flooding the market at this moment in time. But I've got genuine, so I'll make sure I've got my receipt. I'll show you next time just as proof. Milton, big up, mate. Would you take 17th place and win the Champions League, or 5th place and an FA Cup? Mate, I know my answer. I'm sure we'll all say the same. What one were you going with, Drew?
I'm taking 5th in an FA Cup. I can't do 17th again. 17th has got to be a one-off. It's an anomaly.
It's sad.
I can't do it.
But as soon as I see win the Champions League, I thought the absolute banter I could give to Arsenal fans. That was all I thought. It's all I thought.
Well, I mean, there is that. I mean, it's tight, but honestly, for the sake of 16 wins in Europe and 5 of them against teams that everyone's going to throw in our face and say, they weren't team, blah, you got to go for all that crap. I'm not having it. I can't do 17th again, mate. 22 losses. Oh, remember how bad that was.
I would take either of. I mean, imagine you walk away this season with a Champions League or an FA Cup. That would be insane. Chris, what would be your favourite? Come on, Champions League and 17th. Or an FA Cup and 5th?
I think, Dreamland, you're talking the Champions League. It's one of the biggest prizes. But 5th place in an FA Cup, that's respectable. It's what we all want. Champions League will come, but you can't be finishing 17th and then winning the Champions League again. It's just ridiculous.
Brian, you got to be a Champions League. No,
absolutely not. Absolutely not. And do you know what? It's not even anything to do with 5th. Nothing to do with 17th. You would see me in every season. I am the biggest romantic when it comes to the FA Cup. That cup, when I was coming up, born in the 80s, and when we won it in the 91 FA Cup final, that cup was everything. That was the Tottenham Hotspur Cup. First team to win it 8 times. First team to do the double. First team to do it. First team to do it non-league. That was our cup. And if someone had said in 1991, when we won it for the 8th time, that you will not be in another final, let alone win it, until 2026, no matter what team you supported, no team would say, no, Spurs don't win it or get to another final by that time. That FA Cup means more to me than any. I love that FA Cup. So you could say 10th in the FA Cup over 17th. I will pick the FA Cup. I absolutely love that cup.
You've stumped me. I thought everyone was going Champions League. I love the FA Cup, but Champions League, God, what that would do. Last quick one. Why is our home form so poor so far? I think that we're looking at being solid at the back. I don't think it's that bad, but it's one of them. I mean, we haven't lost a game. We've lost one. And that's it. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's bad. But I think as we've all discussed, literally we're trying to make sure that we're solid at the back, and that's where we're starting, and then we're hoping to sprinkle some stardust at the front and some winning, some attacking threat towards once that's worked out and that we know that we're in the game. And I think that's very much how Frank operates. He's said it. Every single player has said it. They've said that they're starting off with clean sheets. That's what they want to do. So. Yeah, we're going to go on to.
Can I just do one thing on this? Because I love Kev G. I love this guy. But you know what? Like we were just doing 5th in the FA Cup or 17th in the Champions League. If I had said to everyone before a ball was kicked this season, in the first 5 games, you're going to win 4, lose 1, concede 1 goal. The football may not be superb the whole time, or roll the dice. And you don't know any scores whatsoever, what are you picking? Every single Spurs fan would say, well, I'm taking the 4 wins out of 5, 1 goal conceded. Every single one of them. Yes, the football needs to improve, but it's a results-based business, and we need to get the defences being sorted. I guarantee Thomas Frank will get the midfield and forward line firing, and when they do, we're going to be a match for anyone. But we've literally gone to winning games a lot, 80% of the time. We've got an 80% win rate out of 5 games, and I will take that over playing scintillating football every single game and not knowing what's going to happen every single time.
Yeah, guys, I've just had a look on the likes. We're one in every 3. Come on, we can do so much better than that. Come on, let's get a few more likes. We need 4 more subs as well to reach 1,470. So please, if you haven't already, please hit that sub button. I've also put all of the links for the guests in the chat as well, and they will also be in the link. In the description box after the stream, guys. I said we're gonna last couple of bits. Has anybody seen Heung-min Son's hat trick?
Mm-hmm.
It was vintage Sonny. He seems to be absolutely loving life. So happy. Now the dust has settled a little bit, because there was a lot of hatred towards the, or not hatred, that's probably a bad word, but there was a lot of anger towards Son, the way the ball, what happened with Son, whether he should have stayed, whether he should have gone. Now the dust has settled. I'm just happy to see him. He looks like he just loves being there. What are your thoughts, Drew, on Son scoring a hat trick and going off and enjoying himself?
Yeah, happy days, man. Happy days. And I'm glad he chose America, because there's a chance I'll get to go and see him when he comes to Kansas City. So that's great. But yeah, I think it was just best all round, man. You know, I'm not by no means is he finished. I just don't know. See, I guess here's the thing. I don't know if he could have done it in Frank's system or not, unfortunately. I just feel like his legs might have just run out of gas just a little bit. But I mean, maybe the hat trick proves me completely wrong. I don't know. Just fantastic for him. I'm so glad that he's still got a couple of years in him. And like I say, I get fingers crossed get to go and see him.
If you haven't already, make sure you go check out some of the goals. They were vintage Son, by the way. Nice. Chris, did you see any other goals? What are your thoughts on Son?
I haven't. No, I've not seen it, but I was following like his first game, and he come on as a sub, and then his first start and everything else. So I have been following bits and pieces, but I'll need to go and watch the hat trick. But I'm glad he's doing well. I think it was the right time for everyone to move on. He done what he had to do. He won the trophy and he went. So if he stayed another year, you run the risk of saying, "Oh, has he maybe just tried to get another season out of it?" But he's enjoying himself. He's doing well. He'll always be loved by Spurs, and just glad he can. He's not. It'd be a shame if he went there and he was still. If he was declining still there as well. It would be a sort of a sad way for him to bow out. But I'm glad he's doing well.
Yeah, I completely agree. Brian, last one before we go on to the score predictions for Brian.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know Drew until I've obviously seen Drew, but I didn't know he was on the same side as the pond as me. So obviously, when it comes to the MLS, me and Drew will get a lot of it firsthand and everything. So obviously, it's big news over here. I think Sonny came to the MLS, he wanted the final move in his career. He always said he wanted to try something new. And do you remember when Dembele left? He was like, I can't handle the Premier League anymore, the injuries, the demands, everything. Maybe he's like, okay, I'm at the end of my career. I want my last couple of years to be me playing at my top, not the huge demands that are coming on the Premier League. And fair play to him. Fair play to him. He's joined LA. He's doing extremely well. He's looking very happy again. It's wonderful to see that he has come over to the MLS. It's great for him. I'll tell you one thing, though. I've got a couple of friends that live in Toronto that are quite annoyed because they play Toronto's ground is called BMO Field, and LAFC are sponsored by BMO Field, and they are called. That's what their home ground is. And a couple of people saw that we were playing them in August or September, or September, October. And they went and bought tickets and didn't realise that BMO Field is also in Los Angeles. And they thought they'd got their hand on Toronto home tickets. And they're like, why are you going back? I was like, didn't the 10 p.m. kickoff not give you kind of
don't
be 7 over there? So they're now scrambling, trying to find cheap tickets to Los Angeles to fly out there. But he will be coming to Toronto next season. Toronto have already played LAFC, so he won't be coming here this season. But next season, everywhere he goes, he's going to draw people. And fair play. And I hope he has a wonderful last couple of years in his career. And I'm sure he'll love life over here.
Yeah, completely agree. Guys, as I said earlier, it's in the chat. Make sure you go in. Chris on X. You've got Drewzilla from obviously YouTube, Spurs, Diehards, TTID, and obviously Tottenham on tour for Brian as well. Guys, make sure you go in and sub in. If you ain't hit the sub button for me or the guys, then what are we doing here, basically? Guys, score predictions. What do we think? Brighton game, obviously, as we've already mentioned, last season you had the game of two halves, essentially. What do we think the score predictions will be? I'll start with you, Drew.
I'm gonna go with a 2-2, I think. And I've got the pleasure, I don't know, just real quick, I've got the pleasure, they have this thing over here, I'm sure Brian will know, they have this thing called Premier League mornings, where they basically have a city host all of the games, and they put TV screens up, and they have like big areas where you can go and just have like fun and games and stuff like that. And they have old stars and old legends and stuff. Well, it's in Kansas City. So I'm going to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm going to watch it. But tomorrow night, I'm doing a meet and greet and a Q&A with the legend, Ledley King. I can't believe that. I can't believe he's going to be in Kansas City. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to going and seeing him and see if I can get some sound bites for all the YouTube channels. I'm wondering how much he'll charge and therefore how much I'll charge you lot. So I'm going for
I heard
2-2.
about this yesterday. And booking you on had absolutely nothing to do with me getting a fair deal and a discount, okay?
There you go. That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Brilliant. Chris, what are your score predictions? I have put a poll out. We've had nearly 100 votes. 64% say win, 12% say loss, 24% say draw. What are you going with?
I'm going with 2-1 Tottenham. I think we'll be up for it, and I just think that we'll be steady. Brighton have obviously got at home. They're not a bad team at home. They've not had the greatest starts, but I think it'll be a good game. But yeah, I think we'll edge it 2-1.
I hope you're right. Brian, another clean sheet?
I actually don't think another clean sheet. I think we may concede, but the winning continues. The winning continues. Choo-choo on the old freight train. I'm actually going 3-1 Spurs. I'm actually going 3-1 Spurs. Yeah, I think the winning continues. And we will be in the game where we actually start playing a bit more aggressive football.
I hope you're right. I'm going to go 2-1. Clean sheet, clean pants. There we go. There you go, Adrian. I'll make you right, mate. I'm going to go 2-1 as well. I do think that I think we will concede. I think there might be a little bit of some changes in the back line, which might result in that. But I do think that that will win the game. And listen, just keep winning games, and that's the bottom line at this moment in time until things start really clicking. Got some summer signings that still need to hit their top form, still get used to playing in a Tottenham team and in Frank's system. So I think that a nice win I'll take for sure. Guys, a massive thank you. Obviously, a massive shout out to Spurs 5 for the raid. Once again, Cat, Bunt, massive thank you. Really appreciate that. The panel has been absolutely brilliant as always. Make sure, as I said earlier, you go and subscribe to their channels and on X as well. Thank you very much. We are going to go over to the catch up. There is a debate taking place over there, so we'll be going over to there. So make sure you hit Spotlight on Spurs raid for them. Similar to we're passing on the love from one to another. So please go over there, and I will be on there ever so shortly. Thank you very much to everyone. Again, the support is absolutely crazy. Panel, thank you very much for coming on. Last thing, as always, come on, you Spurs.